Actions speak louder than words is a phrase more commonly referred to when you're apologizing or hearing an apology. Have you ever thought about why that is? I can tell you one thing. It has nothing to do with a physical gift being better than a simple "I'm sorry." Actions can demonstrate your understanding rather than saying something so rehearsed. This phrase can often pertain to learning as well. If you're apologizing for something by saying "I'm sorry," but you continue to repeat the action, you aren't really learning anything about the right or the wrong thing to do. The wrong thing has the chance of becoming a habit if you do it enough, where if you show that you know the right thing to do, your brain is comprehending what that right thing is. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Samararo, and today I'll be talking about the large impact that actions have over words when learning. Have you ever heard of passive versus active learning? Passive learning is centered around an instructor who may be giving a lecture or teach a lesson through talking, whereas active learning gives the student a hand in how they learn, where they can learn by doing it. In a study published by the Harvard Gazette, students thought they learned better through a lecture, but when they were tested on it, the students who learned actively overall scored better. Take this, for example. Have you ever ridden a bike? And do you remember riding a bike? When you were being taught, somebody didn't just tell you what to do and then have you go outside and do it on your own. And you probably didn't get it right away if that were to happen. You had to go outside and practice over and over and over again until the way you sit right and pedal correctly and steer was programmed into your brain. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." So my sophomore year of high school, I began spending some of my free time in the Lynx classroom here at Go High School. If you don't know what that is, it is the department of our school for the special education department, and it's where they go and do a lot of their classes and have to spend their free time. So if you don't know what that is, that's what Lynx is here. And so going in there quickly became something that I enjoyed doing during my free time, and going into my junior year, I got to continue to do it as well. And then going into my senior year now, I still get to do it, which is always so fun. And I wanted to involve the students in my senior project and get to work with them right from the get-go. So my project fulfilled my goal by allowing me to work with their summer program, so their extended school year, and the teachers who put their time into ensuring that the students learn in a way that works best for them. So before I began to plan the physical part of my project, I did a lot of research on the best way to work with individuals with disabilities. So for this section, I learned through articles, studies, and other published works. This part of the project was to benefit me so that when it came time for me to get to work more in a leadership position, I would have a slightly better perception of what to do and how to teach. So my main portion of my project focused on orchestrating a field trip for the Lynx students who participated in ESY, and I also got to go out twice a week, a couple weeks during the summer with Emma. So let's start with the field trip. So I work at an ice cream shop downtown Concord called Sundays, and it is basically where you get to go in and make your own ice cream flavor. So it's very hands-on and customizable. So for my trip, I wanted to organize something where the students would be able to come and do just that, get to involve themselves in the project and get to do or make their own ice cream. The field trip ended up going really well. I got to see all the students make their own things, starting by picking their cups, picking their flavors, and getting to enjoy their ice cream as well as decorate it. And it definitely had a better effect as if I were to just say, hey, go here and do this and come out and master it and just explain it. Where here, it was a more hands-on opportunity and they were able to go and do it for themselves. Okay, so this is Emma, and if you don't know Emma, well, one, you're missing out, and two, she is such a great person to spend time with, and I was lucky enough to have her work with me for some of my senior project. So Emma and I focused on a couple different things this summer. A big thing that we got to do was go to the gym. So I'm sure you're probably thinking, like, why is that relevant? But It is if you think about the way that you're programming your brain. So you go into the gym and you start off, probably the first time you go, you're not really sure what you're gonna do. You go in, you go around, walk around a couple times, see what looks familiar, and that's exactly what we did. So as we kept going, I noticed that both her and I seemed to be more comfortable, and I would notice Emma getting to go, and she would go to the things that she knew what she was doing on. So the treadmill, the elliptical, what have you. And then I would also notice her testing like the comfortable limits where she would push herself. And that impacted me too, so I would do the same things. So that was one thing that we did. And the second thing we did was pottery painting, which was a big focus on motor skills and how the getting to learn what to do. So there are so many, I don't know if you've ever gone pottery painting, but there are so many steps. And so we had to listen to what we were told and then do exactly what they were telling us to do, pick out our colors, etc. And it's very tedious work. So overall, the things we did over the summer focused on the general idea of doing hands-on things and working with motor skills and keeping it fun and lighthearted and overall just no pressure. So the last aspect that I focused on for my project was getting to learn the best way to assess students. So as you can imagine, you can't sit down, give a student a lecture, and test them on it right away. It probably won't work very well for any student because you need to teach to the way the student learns the best. Throughout my research, I took away probably the most prominent lesson. So if you're going to take anything away from my talk today, please let it be this. Teach to the student, not the class, the disability, or the education level. If you're Googling best ways to do blank with a student who has blank, it's probably not going to get you very far. You need to know who you're working with, and you need to see how they learn best and work to them. Okay, so I learned that there was a general system of assessment that works for all students with room for modification to meet the individual's needs. You start by doing a pre-test and have the student demonstrate their skill, and then you teach them. You teach them what to do. You do the lesson, you work actively until you have seen the progress and see that they know what they're doing. And then you post-test. After that, you measure the progress or improvement and see how far the student has come from pre-test to the post-test. So it's just like, going back to the example before, riding a bike. We're doing it over and over again, programs it into your brain. Active learning is making its name in grade schools all over the country, with the results on tests ranking higher than the results from a lesson that was taught passively. Mortimer Adler said, "All genuine learning is active, not passive. It involves the use of the mind, not just the memory." So, involve your mind in your education. Work hands-on. Don't just listen and expect it to stick. Trust me, it probably won't. Next time you're in class listening to a lecture or a lesson, take notes and involve your brain. Thank you.